established rich coming right back at you. Trust is one of the most dangerous things a human being can play with, because the moment people believe you are qualified to guide them, heal them, advise them, or protect them, you now hold power over people's lives. That's why titles matter. That's why credentials matter. That's why licenses matter. And that's why this whole Dr. Cheyenne Bryant situation is way bigger than internet gossip to me. This ain't about hating on a black woman. This ain't about tearing somebody down. This is about accountability. Because if you call yourself a doctor in a space where people come to you for mental, emotional, and psychological guidance, people have a right to ask questions.
I've earned the title, I have multiple degrees, and I'm not going to prove anything to anybody. My obedience is to God, not to people. And so as long as I'm in His will and I'm serving and I'm doing His, His word, my sheep will know my voice. Even the sheep in wolf clothing. That is not my battle.
But
that's
with the
His.
questions that are out there, why not provide the proof of your degree? Why not?
Well, a couple of things, right? I have multiple degrees, and my thing is that my proof isn't something that I have to prove to individuals. My proof is already within my credentials, my degrees, and also more than just my titles, it's in how effective I've been. All of my sessions have been live, for the most part. My sessions with Nick Cannon, Cam Newton, Shannon Sharp, B. Simone, they have all been for the world to see. Right? So no one knew who Dr. Bryant was prior to seeing all of my sessions that were live. And they deemed it, as well as I did before they did it, they can't validate me, I validated myself, they deemed it as my work being effective. I am effective at what I do. I'm educated and I'm successful in my lane, and I'll land on this, I created my own lane. And so a lot of times, Marissa, when people see that you created something that maybe they couldn't, admiration turns into envy. And you got to be okay. And you got to be okay with that in that
space. As an attack, but I think, and I've gotten this question from many viewers, and I owe it to them.
You
in
do.
Service to
Absolutely.
them. Why not drop doctor from your name if you cannot bring forth that doctoral degree?
So I've already covered this, right? And we're here obviously to talk about my new book. So I've earned the title. I have multiple degrees, and I'm not going to prove anything to anybody. And we're going to leave it just as that. Yeah.
Dr. Cheyenne Bryant.
Baby, Dr. Cheyenne Bryant.
And that's where, and you're standing by that.
Standing by it, yeah.
Right.
And this is the part that keeps bothering me. Why does every question about her credentials turn into a damn spiritual speech or a deflection instead of a straight answer? That's what people keep dancing around, because this whole thing should have been easy to clear up. If somebody accuses you of lying about being a doctor, the response should be simple. Here's the degree, here's the transcript, here's the license, here's the record. Done. That should take 10 minutes. But instead, this story keeps getting stranger the more people ask questions. Now it's the school closed. I don't have to prove myself. My obedience is to God. My clients speak for themselves. Look, that's not how professional credentials work, because this ain't music. This ain't entertainment. This is mental health. People go to people like her when they broken, confused, depressed, vulnerable, or traumatized. That's a serious responsibility. People absolutely have a right to verify whether that title is legitimate. And if you using the title doctor to gain trust, access, status, and authority, people absolutely have a right to verify whether that title is legitimate. That should not even be controversial. And what really blew my mind is the dissertation issue, because even people who don't understand how the academic world works understand this. A doctoral dissertation is not something that just vanishes into thin air. These things are archived, stored, registered, documented. That's why people keep bringing up ProQuest, because if you completed a doctoral program, there should be some type of academic footprint, something. And when people start asking where is it, that's when the whole story started collapsing for a lot of people.
What?
The problem with this is her credibility, the conferment of her degree. She's unable to prove them. And also she just really contradicts herself often. Now, is it plausible that some of the stuff that she is saying is true? It is plausible that it is difficult for you to get your records when a school closes, because it has closed. But it's often easy to just go ahead and Google to see if this is actually true, and it's not. She said that they sold the records to a third party. The third party is Parchment.com, and Parchment.com, you could get the records back from over a decade. And they even list the university that she's claiming that she can't get her records from on there as records you can get. When you do a dissertation, your dissertation is published and it becomes in part of a national portfolio that you can easily look that up. This is not a thing that you have to go find someone to get your dissertation. So the thing is, sure, some of the stuff could be plausible, and that's what I'm going to say, it's plausible, because I'm not the one who's doing the investigation. But the problem is, if if we wanted to show our degree, we can
pull it.
easily show our degree.
Now, for those who are concerned.
The other piece I wanted to bring up, if you don't have the transcript, okay, plausible, right? Do you have a picture of your graduation day? Do you have something? Nobody walks across the stage and doesn't take a picture of those 3 stripes on your cape. You know what I mean? And so it's just like
the deception leads. You're also saying if you're licensed, you're talking bad about those that are licensed. You're saying, oh, you're only licensed so you can bill insurance. Well, honey, I don't take insurance.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm licensed because I want to make sure I get the proper training. I want to make sure that my clients and me are protected.
Yes.
Right.
She's got every accolade. She's got every certificate of perfect attendance of everything she's ever earned behind her head. And you see what we don't see there? A diploma. See, your diploma would generally go right there back behind your head.
Now this right here is the part that pushed people over the edge. The admission that she don't even operate as a licensed therapist. That changed the whole energy of this story. Because now people start asking, wait a minute, what exactly are you then? And look, there's nothing wrong with being a life coach. Let me say that clearly. There are great life coaches out there. Great motivators, great speakers, great mentors. But don't present yourself in a way that makes people think you operate under the same ethical and professional standards as a licensed clinic. That's the issue, because licenses exist for a reason. And when somebody openly says they like operating outside those restrictions because they can make more money that way, that should make everybody uncomfortable. That's a red flag. And that's why I keep saying, this story ain't really about her. It's about the era that we living in. We living in a time where people have learned that presentation matters more than verification. If you sound smart, look professional, speak confidently, and get next to celebrities, people automatically assume you legit.
He ain't lying.
That's the world social media has created. And that's a very dangerous world, because now anybody can put doctor in front of their name, sit on a podcast, speak confidently, and people just accept it without even asking questions. That is insane when you really think about it. What if somebody started calling themselves a lawyer with no law degree? What if somebody started calling themselves a surgeon because they read a lot of books on medicine? People would lose their minds. But somehow, when it comes to mental health, people get real loose with their standards. And that's scary, because words have power. Titles have power. And when people see doctor in front of somebody's name, they automatically lower their guard. They trust you different. They listen to you different. They open up different. That title creates authority. And that's why misusing it is such a big deal. And see, this is the part that really bothers me. She seems more offended that people are questioning her than she is concerned about clearing up the questions. That's weird to me, because if somebody publicly questioned my whole professional identity and I had the paperwork to end the conversation immediately, why would I keep talking in circles? That's what people keep getting stuck on. And you don't have to prove yourself to anybody line don't work here. Yes, you do. If you are publicly profiting off a professional title, you absolutely have to verify that title. That's how trust works. Now let's go even deeper. This situation also exposes how desperate people are for guidance right now. That's why figures like her blow up so fast. People are hurt, lonely, confused, traumatized. They looking for answers, healing, clarity. So the second somebody came along sounding confident and intelligent, people grabbed onto it. That's only human. But that also creates a huge responsibility for the person giving the advice, because you're not just talking to people online. You are talking to people who may actually structure their life around what you say. That's real power. And power without accountability is dangerous. That's why this story hit such a nerve. It's not just, did she really graduate? How many people are building real careers off perception without having the qualifications? That's a bigger question. And social media made that problem worse. Now everybody a guru, everybody an expert, everybody a mentor, everybody a healer. But when you start peeling the labels back, a lot of these people don't have the foundations that they claim to have. Performative expertise. And again, if she really earned the title, then show the proof and end the conversation forever. That's it. Because the longer this thing drags out without clear answers, the more it starts looking like the title matters more than the truth. And that's a bad look for somebody positioning themselves as a mental health authority, especially inside the Black community, where so many people already struggle to trust professional systems in the first place. That's why this whole story feels bigger than just internet drama to me. This is about trust. This is about accountability. This is about whether or not people should be allowed to build authority through implied credentials without clear verification. That's the real issue. And until those questions get answered clearly, this conversation ain't going nowhere. But hey, that's just my opinion. What's yours? Like, comment, subscribe. Establish Rich. I'll be back with another one. Peace.